At some point, I'm going to get this balanced, and it's going to work. That's the plan anyway. We'll see whether that point comes sooner or later than I would like. Is that going to work? Is that going to stay? A little bit of a rough beginning there, but I believe it's going to actually stay there. Yes, balance is, in fact, the key to life. We got a bunch of different things to run through here. I hope all of you are having fantastic Fridays wherever you may be across this great country or this great land. There is a bunch to get to, and I'm going to dive into it. The NFL schedule is out. The Houston Texans have one of the most challenging opens of anybody out there. I understand that there is a snowstorm that is coming to much of the country. It's crazy. I'm down at the beach. It's 80 degrees and nice here. The UFC is back this weekend. Phillip Rivers becomes the latest different former NFL player to announce that he has a post-playing career plan. And we have got an unemployment rate that is hitting 14.7%, which is a absolutely massive storyline. But I want to start with what I think is a big part of the story and has not received enough attention. And this is something that I think the media is doing a bad job of. I don't know how many different people out there watched and or paid attention to my mailbag this morning, but I wrote about this a lot. And this is where I think the media in general has done a really bad job of breaking down the coronavirus data. And I don't know if it's because the average member of the media is not particularly smart, or I'm not sure if this is a calculated decision that is being made by the average member of the media. But what needs to be getting more attention, the percentage of people who are testing positive for the coronavirus, as opposed to the number of people who are going out and getting tests. All right, let me explain the difference here. If you look at the number of people that are going out and getting tests on a day-to-day basis, and I tweeted out the graph on it, it is going down in a really big way. And I just tweeted about this. If you happen to follow me on Twitter, you would know exactly what I'm talking about here. But credit Florida Governor Ron Desantis, who shared this data. And the data was pretty straightforward. May 7th, I'm reading from Ron DeSantis. May 7th represented the best testing day for Florida since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. Florida received nearly 20,000 test results, which yielded only 358 new Florida cases and the lowest statewide positivity rate, 1.89% on record for new cases. All right, let me explain that again. Florida received 20,000 tests today for yesterday, right? They got only 358 new cases, the lowest statewide positivity rate, 1.89% on record for everybody out there, okay? And so this is, in general, a really, really great data point. And it's representative of what needs to be being talked about much more. We, and I'll even put myself in this category, initially focused on reporting on total number of new cases, right? But then the drumbeat began with, hey, you need to get out there and include all of the cases that are going on, but as a percentage of the overall number, okay? And so if you look at the percentage of the overall number, we're down substantially, okay? Initially, and I tweeted this out, I'd encourage you to go look at it, go read my column at Outkick. We were at north of 20% percentage when it came to positive tests. Now we are all the way down below 10%, and that Florida number I just shared with you is extraordinarily low, okay? So the number of positive tests is declining as the number of overall tests is increasing. Okay, so for a lot of people out there in general, they're not actually focusing on the right number. It's the percentage of positive tests, not the test. And what's ironic about this is the people who are screaming the loudest, we need more testing, we need more testing, we need more testing, Now that we're getting a ton of testing, they are the people screaming the loudest, oh my God, look at all the cases. That's actually what's going on. The reason why the number of new cases is staying flat is because we've doubled the number of cases that we're giving. Okay? The positive test percentage is now below 10%. This is a big story. It's a good story. There's a lot of positivity associated with it. And frankly, I think the media is doing a bad job of trying to convey the overall data across this country. Don't tell Peter King, by the way. Whatever you do, don't tag Peter King and make sure that he's aware of the incredible performance that the state of Florida is doing overall. Okay? So break it down. Here's another story for you. Georgia. Georgia has now been open for 2 weeks. How many of you are in Georgia right now? How many of you are out there in Georgia right now watching this? Georgia opened on a Friday 2 weeks ago. Nothing has happened in a negative way. Most of the time, it takes about 14 days at most for a case to develop. The average case develops in under a week. The numbers have not changed at all in the grand scheme of things. A lot of you are watching in Georgia. Georgia is going to be an interesting test case because all the people who were ripping Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, for deciding to open back up the state, the number has not skyrocketed at all. The number has not skyrocketed in Georgia. It's not skyrocketing in any of the open states. It's not skyrocketing in Texas. It's not skyrocketing in Tennessee. So far, as we open up the states, what we are finding out is things aren't changing very much. And so this is absolutely fascinating to think about. All right, bunch of different NFL schedule thoughts. Bunch of different NFL schedule thoughts, which I flagged as the NFL schedule was released yesterday. Okay, and by the way, here's a graphic that shows what I was just talking about. All right, this is the graphic that shows the U.S.'s overall positivity rate on testing over time. You can see it's declining. All right, it's declined by 50%. But there are a lot of different storylines here. First of all, who gets the most primetime games? There are right now a bunch of different teams that got 5 primetime games. The Ravens make sense. Baltimore Ravens, one of the most exciting teams in all of football right now. The Dallas Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers, the Chiefs, the 49ers, all of those teams make sense. And then the Rams, the Bucks, and the Patriots all get 5 games in primetime. What's really interesting about this is when you look at the numbers out there and really break them down, the Patriots are getting a lot of respect for Bill Belichick. And I believe the NFL Cold War, which is going to be fascinating and is probably the number one story overall this year, is what is going to happen with the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick going up against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is an opportunity for both men to prove that they are the reason why the Patriot dynasty existed. If Brady is able to continue his Patriot dynasty success now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he can argue, I was the reason why the Patriots won at a high level. If Bill Belichick can follow up, maybe with Jarrett Stidham at quarterback, and have the same level of success that he had with Matt Castle, and have the same level of success that he had already with Jacoby Brissett and with Jimmy Garoppolo, then Bill Belichick's going to be able to argue the reason why Brady got to 9 Super Bowls was because I'm a genius, not because of Tom Brady. This is the NFL Cold War. Both of these guys want the credit for the dynasty. The reality is I don't think either could have done it without the other. But if Brady goes to a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay and the Patriots fall apart, a lot of people will say, well, Bill Belichick couldn't do it before he had Brady. He can't do it after he had Brady either. If Belichick goes on and breaks Don Shula's record for all-time wins, and he does it without Tom Brady, then a lot of people, including me, are going to look around and say, my God, maybe we overrated Tom Brady, especially if he falls on his face in Tampa Bay. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in this Cold War. Belichick's going to claim he doesn't care. Brady's going to claim he doesn't care. They're both going to look at each other and claim they're not paying attention, while the reality is they're going to be obsessively following each other's career. They're like a Hollywood power couple that breaks up. The guy and the girl may claim they don't care about each other anymore, but they're definitely still keeping tabs. So that is one of the aspects that is most interesting. Other aspects that are, to me, stand out the most. How about the NFL's decision to come out and release its schedule and on the opening weekend have a game in SoFi Stadium in LA and also have a game in New York City? They could have easily chosen to avoid the New York area. And by the way, people are like, well, the Giants and the Jets don't play in New York. Yeah, I know. I went to the Super Bowl in the stadium, all right? That's New York City teams. I know they play in New Jersey, but basically they're New York City teams, right? I know that the facility is not directly in New York City. The number of people are like, the Giants don't play in New York City. All right, games with New York City teams in the opening weekend, with the Giants playing against the Steelers, and they also put a game in LA. Now, the NFL is basically saying we're not afraid of what's going on right now. Are they going to be accurate or not? I don't know. I thought they might try to avoid playing games in New York and in California early in the season, try to tiptoe into it by the third or fourth week. But I got to give the NFL credit. Roger Goodell takes a lot of crap. But Roger Goodell, I think, made the exact right decisions when it came to NFL free agency. He made the exact right decision when he came to the NFL draft. And he made the right decision going ahead and releasing this schedule and saying we plan on playing a full schedule come fall. We're still 4 months away from these games kicking off, but I got to give credit to Roger Goodell for making all the right decisions and maintaining a sense of normalcy surrounding everything having to do with the games themselves. It is the right call to keep things rolling. Remember that a lot of NFL media ripped Roger Goodell for making the decision to keep the free agency as it was, and also to go out and break down everything associated with that. I think it is the right decision beyond a shadow of a doubt to keep everything going the same way that it already is. So continue to break that down. This is the right decision for the NFL. How about the Texans? When you look at the Texans' schedule, when this schedule came out, one of my first thoughts was, oh man, the Texans are in real trouble when you look at their schedule. All right, Bill O'Brien already traded away DeAndre Hopkins. How about this first 7 games for the Houston Texans? Tell me they aren't likely to start off 2-5. At Kansas City, they have to go to the Chiefs on the opening Thursday night game. Then they come back home against the Ravens. That is an absolutely brutal 1-2 punch, both in the AFC for the Houston Texans. Then they follow it up with a trip to the Pittsburgh Steelers. There is a very, very good chance that the Houston Texans are going to be 0-3 when the Minnesota Vikings come to town. Then they get the Vikings at home and the Jaguars, who at least they could probably beat. Then they play at Tennessee, and then they get the Green Bay Packers. 2-5 is very, very likely when you look at this Texans schedule. It's possible they start 0-3. It's possible they start 0-4. They could even start 1-6. I think if you come out of this 5 and you're this 7 and you're 3-4, you would have to be ecstatic. But given the fact, the decisions that Bill O'Brien has made, the trouble that he is already under, that bye week after week 7 could be a really interesting time for the Houston Texans. If they can get to 3-4, things open up a little bit in the second part of that schedule. But man, it is really, really tough until then. Look at that opening 7. It jumped out at me in a big way. How about Vegas? The Raiders are now officially in Las Vegas, and they play at night 4 times, each one of them at home. The Saints, the Bucks, the Chiefs, and the Chargers. All 4 of these teams play at home. Again, the Saints, the Bucks, the Chiefs, the Chargers, all 4 at night in Vegas. Can you imagine what that scene is going to look like? Also, can you imagine how exciting it is to think about how everything is going to be breaking down in Las Vegas in general? That is going to be an electric environment. I can't wait to see how it all shakes out. The Titans, My Tennessee Titans open on the road against Denver. They're 2.5-point underdogs according to Fox Bet. I think that's going to be a hugely important game for the Titans. A lot of different interesting moving parts in that game. I like the moves that the Texans have made. Sorry, that the Denver Broncos made. I like the addition of Jerry Jeudy. I like the addition of Hamler out of Penn State. Also, Albert O, who is a big-time tight end target for Drew Lock at Mizzou. All of those additions I like. I think it'll be hard for them to be hitting on all cylinders. I like the Titans in that game. How about the opening week of the season? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers going on the road against the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees going up against Tom Brady, two of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, both over the age of 40. Incredible scheduling there. I believe the Bucs are the most interesting team in the entirety of the NFL, and also that the NFC South is going to be one of the most fascinating in all of sports to think about what's going to occur in that division. I can't wait to watch and see. Phillip Rivers, who is now the starting quarterback presumptively of the Indianapolis Colts, announced today, by the way, just up the road from where I am right now, that he's going to be the new head high school football coach of a Catholic high school in Fairhope, Alabama. Phillip Rivers, down on the Gulf Coast, it appears, in Alabama, deciding that he will be a Catholic high school football coach. It's a little bit like the decision made by Drew Brees to be an NFL announcer. Both of those guys, while they are still playing, are locking up their next jobs. That in and of itself is going to be interesting to watch. Phillip Rivers, again, named today a high school football coach. Alabama, he will start there when he finishes his NFL career. Finally, the unemployment rate today hit 14.7% in the month of April. That is before we add in all the people who have lost their jobs since mid-April. We are likely staring down the barrel of a 20+% unemployment rate. It's possible that we are going to hit the same unemployment rate as the Great Depression. It is time for people to get back to work in this country, okay? We have made the decision to shut down the country, which I think will be debated for decades to figure out whether it was the right decision. But what is 100% the right decision now is for everybody to go back to work. We need to open up as many states as possible. We need the young and healthy people who, by and large, are not in danger from the coronavirus to go out and work. If you are still older or susceptible to severe illness, you need to continue to stay at home as the country is warming up around you. This is the right decision. All of the data reflects it. We have not had an unemployment rate like this since the Great Depression. We have voluntarily done it to ourselves, and it happened almost overnight. I hope this is going to be a V-shaped curve, and we're going to recover in a hurry. There are good signs out there. Apple is opening back up all of its stores. Starbucks starting to open up back all of its stores. As the states are starting to come back online, my hope is many of these jobs are still going to be there, and people are going to be able to get back to work. But we don't know, because basically what we've tried to do is put the economy into a coma and hope it's going to work in the days and weeks and months and years ahead. And we frankly don't know how this is going to shake out. The city of Nashville is opening up come Monday. And a lot of the southern states are showing very positive signs in terms of deaths and infection rates. But this is going to be a real challenge. Many people out there are losing their jobs. And as a result, we've got to get back to work. I appreciate all of you. I hope you are having fantastic weekends wherever you may be across this country, around this land. I hope all of you remember to DBAP unless you need to SBAP. My name is Clay Travis. This is Outkick the Show. I will see you guys, all right? I will see you guys on Monday, if not before, based on what craziness we might have transpire. See you guys. Kisses. DBAP unless you need to SBAP.